Well, hi, everybody. This is Jim again from the Meceola County Charity Network, and I'm here today with Lori from the Meceola
Currie Comfort Home.
I should just let you said that right out of the gate. And so this is the next segment of how we're highlighting different charities here in the county. And so we're just going to go ahead and ask Lori some questions here and let her explain what her charity is and how what it does and how you can help. Stick around to the end because that's when we're going to talk about how you can help her help others. So go ahead and Lori and just kind of explain a little bit about what the house is all about.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. So we are a community-supported hospice house, which means that we're a 501c3, and we function off of grants and donations and fundraising. But what we do and how we serve the residents of Meceola and Osceola County is by providing them a place to live when they're at end of life. Really the criteria to be able to come live at our house is that you're on hospice and that you have a terminal diagnosis and you're near end of life. So we help with the place to live and the 24-hour caregivers, and then hospice comes in and takes care of you the same way that they would take care of you in your own home. You're just doing it at our house versus your own home. So there's lots of reasons why people can't live in their own home at end of life. Sometimes it has to do with not wanting to associate their home with their death, and other times is because the ability to have caregivers in their home isn't sufficient. But there's lots of reasons why people can't be there. So we're the solution to where can good quality end of life care happen, and that would be with us at our house.
Unfortunately, I had to experience this myself this summer with my mom, and she did have hospice helping her, and it was a great help to both my mom and our family in helping us deal with that time of her life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, go ahead and explain a little bit more how the house is going to function.
Yeah, so we function just like your house does, except at our house, we take in people who are at end of life. So we function like a normal house. Our goal is that the person who is terminally ill will come and live with us, and then their family would come and be their family just as they would in their own home. So we're hoping to alleviate that added role of caregiver to families when they are experiencing a loved one at end of life. We would be the caregiver, and they can just remain the son or the daughter or the grandchild, or lots of different people end up coming into that caregiver role when somebody's facing end of life, and we're hoping to alleviate that so that any relationship that needs to be healed can be done, or maybe just continue to grow as they're experiencing end of life. So we function just like any other home. We don't have any clinical setting. We've recently purchased a building in the Reed City area. That will be our first location. And then we'll be expanding into Meceola County as well, hopefully in the next, by the summer of 2023 is our goal. But it is a house that we purchased. It's a 3-bedroom home, so it functions just like any other house.
Everybody from Meceola County knows Reed City fairly well, so the house is almost right next to the hospital.
Yeah, so it's pretty centrally located right in Reed City. And as we currently will only have the one location to start with, we still will service both county residents. So any resident from Osceola County and any resident from Meceola County can come in and have their loved one live with us at end of life. Also, we would consider if we had an empty room and somebody from Lake County or Isabella County or any of our neighboring counties needed our service, we would absolutely consider that. What we're saying by being an Osceola and Meceola County organization is that those residents would get first priority if there was a more than one person had a need. But if we've got an empty bed, and we would absolutely help our neighboring counties as well.
Okay. At this time, with that just current house in Reed City, you can handle up to 3?
3, yep. So our patient or our guest to caregiver ratio is only 1 to 3, which is a much lower ratio than you're going to get at an assisted living or in a nursing home. So,
and then talk a little bit about the cost about this and how the cost affects the individuals that want to take advantage of your home?
Yeah, so our goal is to there be no cost to our guests. We do have a suggested daily donation rate. That's always a mouthful for me to say. But if for some reason somebody couldn't afford that suggested daily donation rate, we would never turn them away. We want to provide good quality end-of-life care to any resident of our counties.
Okay. So a little bit of background on yourself. You're a registered nurse.
Yep.
And you also currently work for hospice.
Yep. So I work for a hospice company. I've been a nurse for over 20 years, been in the medical field and since I was 17. And I recently stepped into the hospice role about 3 years ago. And almost immediately when stepping into that role, I realized there was a big gap in where end-of-life care occurred. I think a lot of our culture believes that people just die in hospitals, and that's not true. A lot of times people die out. Most of the time people die outside of the hospital. And so when I first started in hospice, the solutions are die at home or you go to a nursing home or an assisted living. And all those are great options, but not all those are practical options when somebody's facing end of life. We talked a little bit about how home can be tricky depending on your family situation and the support there. An assisted living or nursing home can be very expensive. What people don't realize until they're faced with it is that most insurances don't cover the room and board cost of a facility placement, so a nursing home or an assisted living. And then those costs are thousands and thousands of dollars. And that can really wipe out somebody's finances. If you have two people, a couple and one person is dying, you could really wipe out their financial means by paying for these facility placements, at end of life. So that wasn't there had to have been another solution. That was kind of what I was faced with in the beginning of my hospice career. And I found that solution actually in Newaygo County. They have what's called the Newaygo County Compassion Home. And so they do exactly what we're trying to do. Actually, we're learning how to do what we're doing from them. So we're not reinventing the wheel at all. We're copying, pasting, and just making it fit our county and our county's culture and our county's residents. So.
Okay. Now, one of the things that you talked to me about too is the fact that a lot of us don't think about it or realize the fact that there are younger individuals that are faced with cancer and are dying.
Yeah.
And they don't want to leave. They want to die at home because they don't want to leave that memory with their children.
Yeah, in their home. So a lot of, there are, I think a lot of times we associate death with old people, and that's not always the case. There can be traumatic accidents where maybe somebody doesn't die right away, but their injuries, eventually will take them, or middle-aged people get cancer and it's caught too late and they die. And they don't want that death associated in their homes. They may have young children or teenage children, and it's always nice to have not only the hospice agency to walk you through that end of life, but to be able to have a space where that happened that's not associated with the home that they're going to be in, day after day.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do people take advantage of your services?
So once we're up and running, it's really a self-referral. We also take referrals from the hospice agency that on the service that they would be on. And we can take referrals from so if they're in the hospital and they're working on a discharge plan to go home with hospice service, the hospital can refer them to us, the hospice agency can refer them to us, and they themselves can refer them to us. Our criteria is, though, that they have to be on a hospice service. So we work with we are willing to work with all of the hospice companies that serve Mecosta and Osceola County. There's about 5 hospice companies that service the 2 counties. So. Okay.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to put your contact information up on the end of this video.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they can, write that down and be able to get a hold of you.
Yep, that'd be great.
Okay, so now we understand what you do, but tell us how we can help you.
Yeah, so, as any nonprofit, we need money. to be able to function. We have bills that we need to pay. One of the ways financially that you can help us is by being a sponsor. That's a financial way. If you sponsored to pay our electric bill for a year or even 6 months, that's a financial way to be supported. And whether that's through you as an individual or a business, but then even just monetary donations to help with other day-to-day costs like buying food. We will have paid caregivers in our home that our organization pays. So we have salaries that we need to pay and payroll taxes. So money's always a great way to help us, but there's other ways that we need help too. We need volunteers that can come in and help with a little bit of the care, but mostly our volunteers are helping with the day-to-day running of the home. So in this lovely snow weather that we've had, volunteers to help shovel the sidewalk and keep the driveways clear. In the nicer weather, volunteers to help with lawn care, and just general household maintenance is great. And then donation of products. Again, we function just like your house functions. So donations of laundry detergent, dish soap, paper towel, toilet paper, towels for showers. We need bed linens, but we need a specific size of bed linen. We need the extra long twin sheets for bed linens. Baby wipes is another thing that we use a lot of. So just when you're thinking of what do I need in my own house, those are the things that we need in ours. And as we're getting ready to open, some of the things we need are the smaller appliances like a vacuum to vacuum the floor. So just getting set up to be a house. So we even food items can be a great way to donate and support us. Usually the foods that we look for donation are foods that are easier to eat and don't require a lot of chewing, because again, our guests are at end of life. So things like applesauce, pudding, yogurt, ice cream. A lot of our guests like ice cream. So donations in that way too are also a really great way to support our organization.
Okay, I know we talked about the fact you're in the middle of renovations.
Yeah.
So when are you going to be ready?
So our last little bit of renovation should be done right about the middle of December, and we're going to start the hiring process for our caregivers right after the first of the year. So we're hoping within the first 6 to 8 weeks of 2023 that we would be able to open up to start serving guests and residents of Mecosta and Osceola County.
Okay, great. So again, we're just talking here about the Meceola
Currie Comfort Home.
Thank you again. And we just want to make sure that you're aware. Again, we've talked about what they do, how they do it, and how you can help support them. So again, this is Jim with the Mecosta County Charity Network. We're just trying to make sure that you're aware enough, to care enough, to participate enough, to make a difference.